Hey everyone, Gavin here. Today we're going to be going over Rift by Minimal Audio, a really fantastic bipolar distortion plugin. What that means effectively is basically this is an epic sound design tool for both basic tonal shaping and insane glitch and sound mangling sound design stuff. So let's get started. So first thing you're going to notice in the plugin is this big old wavy thing right here, this big old sine wave. So when I say it's a bipolar distortion plugin, most distortion plugins will apply the distortion to both the positive and negative peaks and valleys of an audio signal. Think alternating current stuff. So what this does is it allows you to apply selective distortion to just either the positive or the negative cycle, the top or the bottom of it. So I've got a sine wave ready to go. So it actually gives you a pretty accurate little waveform monitor in the center. So I can see my little sine wave playing, and when I say it allows you to distort just one side or the other, so I can do just these top parts or just these bottom parts. And so on the left and right side you have the top and bottom waveform shapers, if you will. I can tweak it all the way to max, and notice how the top side changes just a little. I'm going to play a little riff that I have preset. It's very subtle with the soft wave shape. If I change it to something a little bit more drastic like growl, suddenly we have a different sound already. So this plugin is really good for those very basic soft changes, but it's also good at slightly more drastic stuff. So up here I have my drive knob with a 2x multiplier for it. I can take my drive knob and increase it, and let's see what it does. And it's cool because you can really see the shape of the wave shape being applied to the main signal, and then it being largely unaffected down here on this bottom part. Now if I can also multiply that by 2. Notice how it basically changes to more or less just a square shape. I bet your ears are thanking you right now for watching this video. So this, like the drive and multiplier right there, really allow you to take a sound and just hard clip and distort it, which is great. But if you turn it down a little bit back to where you can see the individual wave shapes again, another neat feature is the ability to blend between the two different types of distortion. So let's see, I'm going to choose a noise waveform. Whoa, I haven't actually looked at that before. See how it's all jittery? That's kind of cool. Retro. So let's give this a try. I'm very curious now, so I'm going to keep my distortion up just a little bit. Wow, look at that. So retro is going to make it all a bit crushy, I'm betting. So let me play with this now. Ooh. And suddenly making video game style music just got really kind of fun and neat. So I can choose between blending strictly from the left side so that the entire waveform is nothing but growl, or I can blend it to where it's nothing but my retro sound. Or some mixture between the two, which alters the sound. And that is why this bipolar stuff is so important. Like, that is where this becomes a really cool sound design tool. You can also alter the stages of your distortion. If you're maxed out on distortion, you won't notice any change. Well, never mind. Sometimes you'll notice a change with the stages, sometimes you won't. But basically, it just applies the same distortion algorithm with an additional stage layered over it. So one stage with just kind of where it is right there. Let's add another stage. So just the blending and altering the amount of drive almost gives it a sort of filter effect. So, I mean, there's just cool stuff you can do with this thing. There's a smooth mode, which just softens the waveforms a little bit. Hard mode, a little bit harder clipping, which is what we've been working with. Output complete with a limiter. Just already tons of awesome little controls right up front. And now for the part that I find the most fun, which is this little section down here. This is where you see all of your modulation options. The ability to make your distortion, like change the way your distortion is processed, whether you want it to be stereo, wide, mid-side, just only affecting the mids, only affecting the sides. So that already makes it a lot easier to mix your distortion into your sound. You could have it only affecting the sides and have a very clear mid, or have a crazy mid while having your sides largely unaffected. So, I mean, just neat stuff already. The two things that I like the most in this plugin are going to be like your filter section and your feedback section. Both of which, I might add, Minimal Audio has released as individual light plugins that are pretty fantastic. So let me turn on the filter. We got lots of filter shapes. Basic ones that we're already familiar with, low pass, high pass, some more filters, some peaking filters, harmonic filters. I don't know what the heck those do, but all I know is that they change the shape of this and make it sound very different. You can alter your filter to where it has either a frequency set, a tonal set, it's kind of hard to hear it, but there are certain sounds where you'll hear more of a tonal key to the thing. There's also a MIDI section where you can basically, just like with a little bit of setup, you can do some neat little MIDI stuff that alters the filter instead. For now, I'll keep it on frequency with hertz. The resonance peak on this sounds pretty solid overall. One nice thing that I don't often see built into a plugin is a wet-dry mix, so you can get parallel processing with your filter, which can add lots of fun little things as well. Maintain certain characteristics of the sound while altering others. Part of what makes this plugin so cool with the filter side is this spread knob that basically takes your filtered signal and splits it into what I believe is to be like a stereo signal. And that also, of course, alters the sound quite a bit. There's a morph knob that, here, let me reset that to 0. There's a morph knob that when you tweak it, changes your filter shape drastically. So for the classic basic filters, it runs from low pass to band pass to high pass to notch. And you can change it between those filters with one single knob. When you mix them all together, especially with some modulation, that changes a whole lot of stuff. So as far as the modulation parameters, I have a follow section. I've tried using it. I need to look up how, because I don't know how it works, but if it works somehow, then I bet it's going to be awesome. There's an LFO and 2 different individual curves that can function like LFOs as well. And the cool thing about these curves is that you can shape them any way you want. So you can set up all sorts of neat little things to happen. Your LFO is unusual in that not only does it have your typical rate stuff and basic shapes that you can switch between, but it also has a randomized section, which slightly or drastically alters the LFO shape every single time it completes a cycle. So let's kind of fiddle with how this sounds. I'm going to right-click on my filter frequency, and I'm going to add an LFO to it. This little red thing will pop up. So with this, I pull it up or down to tell Minimal Audio how high I want it to go on the filtering peaks. So I'm going to keep it kind of middle-ish. So now I've got this. So nice and fun stuff. I don't have to set up external modulation to get a dubstep filter. Now, let me play with the randomized section. So the faster your rate, the more frequently the LFO shape changes. So you can see that the randomized thing just adds absolute chaos to your sound. Fantastic for glitch effects and whatnot. And turn that back down to just standard 1/8. There it is. So I want to slow that down actually just a little more. Another cool, so like you can apply all these modulation curves and everything else to all sorts of stuff. I'm going to apply curve 2 to my spread. I'm going to have it drastic, and then I'm going to set it to a slightly lower setting. So the sound design options are endless. Let's play with that morph knob a little. So the morph knob, as you can see, just like I can't even really adequately put into words just how crazy this plugin is. Like, there's so much stuff I can do with it, like this snarl thingamajigger, bobber, or whatever it is. Let's see what it does. These guys are great. They're so great. Now, the feedback section. Basically, it just feeds back the signal into itself and does some crazy stuff with it. You can, so like just with it just turned on now, I'm going to fiddle with a few of the knobs, like the frequency, the spread, feedback, high pass, and low pass, just to show you kind of what all of them will do and sound like. So lots of fun stuff that can happen there. There are different kinds of feedback, like comb filter. What's kind of cool is that with the comb, with the feedback, if you have the frequency low enough, it can sort of turn into a delay almost. So these are all the features that I can kind of name off the top of my head. Another thing that can be really useful is this section up here, which helps you choose whether you want your distortion to be stereo, wide, mid-side, so like it affects most of the signal, mid, it affects just the middle, side, it affects the sides, stages, which determines how many times that one distortion, if I'm not mistaken, kind of is layered on top of itself. And just all in all, if you're looking to play with the plugin, this is a great one. Another awesome feature that it has 2 macro knobs. You can link all kinds of different things to this macro knob. And then you can link any controls. So like I can link my feedback frequency to macro 1. I can link my filter to macro 1 as well. I can link my blend to it. And you got to make sure you turn them up for each of them. So now, if I tweak this macro, I can affect multiple parameters at once. So that is just about everything I can think of off the top of my head to show y'all. I really like this plugin. If you're looking for an excellent sound design or tonal shaping tool, this is the one to get. All the features combined. Normally you'd have to have a plugin chain with multiple plugins to try to even remotely simulate what this thing can do. And like it simplifies the plugin chain and signal chain drastically. I love this plugin. It's a great one. I do recommend buying it. Support Minimal Audio so they can keep on making more awesome stuff like this. So that is the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please click like and subscribe. If you didn't like it, then, well, that just sucks. Thank you, though. Have a good day.